This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Got a car to sell but no time to waste? Hop on to Carvana.com to get a real offer for your car in seconds. All you have to do is enter your license plate, answer a few quick questions, and if you accept the offer, Carvana will pay you as soon as you hand the keys over. They even offer same-day pickup in many cities. Save your time, score some cash, and sell your car the convenient way to Carvana. Pickup times vary. Fees may apply.
Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
Your burger is served, and this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Rob Dube, welcome to the conversation today.
John, thank you for having me. I'm so grateful that we get to chat a little bit here today.
Yeah, it is a real pleasure. You're joining us from Michigan. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about your recent book, Shine, How Looking Inward is the Key to Unlocking True Entrepreneurial Freedom. As we were talking in the pre-interview, first of all, welcome from cold Michigan. Second of all, I love the title of your book, a fun title. And I think this idea of looking inward, I think it's really key. It's really essential. Now, the focus of your book is on entrepreneurial freedom, but this idea of looking inward is essential for, I think, all of us, for all leaders, whether you're leading a team, within, a huge organization, or if you're leading a small startup team, if you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, if you're scaling a team, scaling an organization. I think this introspection, this reflection, this inward looking piece is so essential, especially in this hectic, frantic world that we find ourselves in. If we can't learn how to do this and quiet our mind and practice this inward looking, I think things are going to be exponentially harder for us, and especially in the world of entrepreneurship, where it's just so hard. We need to learn how to do this. So this is what we're going to explore and unpack together today, and really look at what you explore in your book. As we get started, I wanted to share Rob's bio with everybody. Rob Dube is a mindfulness expert and award-winning servant leader dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and leaders live mindful, impactful, and fulfilling lives. Rob's journey in business began selling blow pops out of his high school locker, eventually co-founding imageOne, a company recognized by Forbes and Inc. magazine for its people-first and purpose-driven culture. As the visionary at the 10 Disciplines coaching program, Rob helps driven entrepreneurs who have mastered their outer world master their inner world. I love everything about that. Rob, anything you would like to highlight by way of your background?
No, I think you've covered it all. Yeah, we could dig into other things as we get chatting. And, I'm so glad you queued it up by referencing leaders, because while our book does specify entrepreneurs, which is who our my co-author and myself have kind of, been surrounded by our entire careers, what we've found as we've gone out and shared this message with audiences around the world is that, leaders fit into this category as well. And so maybe someday there'll be an add-on to the book, or a change around just leadership in general. And so, yes, true to what you said. I think we're in a new phase in where we're at as a society and business, where now we can start looking inward. The outward successes that we're all striving for or have accomplished, are fleeting. And so we're left feeling empty at the end of the day, and that's not the point of this whole journey.
Yeah. And certainly we need those, for an organization to be sustainable, we need those outward manifestations. We need to turn a profit. We need to, we need to add value to the market. We need to have customers, we need to do those things, and we need to be successful. Absolutely. And leaders within organizations have to successfully manage and lead their teams. And you need to, bring on good people and reduce turnover. And, there's all these KPIs and metrics that are important, right? But again, to be sustainable and to be happy and healthy, in this complex, volatile world that we're in, we have to learn how to practice self-care. We have to practice mindfulness. I think the name of the game is meaning and purpose. I read in your bio, leading a fulfilling life, and those things don't come from those outward manifestations, right? They just don't. Those things are fleeting, and you can pile on the outward accolades. You can pile on all of the high metrics and KPIs. Those things will never quench the thirst, right? There's always a need for more and more and more. And it's not saying those things are bad. It's just saying they're never enough, ever. And so, it's not an either or. It's not like you have to stop those things. It's just, if you're going to find fulfilling meaning and purpose, you also are going to need to look inward, and you're going to need to try to find a way to find satisfaction and fulfillment in other ways. Otherwise you're constantly going to feel empty.
Yeah. To build on that. So first, our whole premise is we want you to make a bigger impact in the world, bigger than you're already making right now. And so the KPIs, the success of the business, the success that you have in your role, we want you to have even more of it. So again, it's all about impact. And we go about that by teaching you how to maximize your energy. And through the impact that you make, you have greater inner peace. So it all flows together. And so maximizing and managing your energy is really important as a leader. We have a finite amount of time. Some of the people that I speak with, they work 60, 70 hours, some cases even more a week. Yeah. That's not sustainable. Burnout is a real thing. And when you're burnt out, it's too late. There's no going back, and you don't see the signs. So it's important that you manage that energy. Now, what do you do with your time?
Can I add there?
Yes, please.
Personally, it's hard. Sustainability is a question, right? And can you maintain that energy? Burnout is a question, all of those things. And are there people that can maintain a 70, 80 plus hour work week personally, individually? Perhaps. But there's a bigger question there too. It's not just about individuals. It's also about their extended sphere, right? Like how about their friends and family and loved ones? And so it's not just about me, I have a family, I have a partner, I have children, and so while I might be able to handle without completely burning out, I might be able to handle 80 hours a week perpetually. But I guarantee you, my wife and kids can't handle me working 80 plus hours a week perpetually, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so we do have to make sure that we're taking a broad enough perspective. And that's why when you watch like TV shows where, the cops are all divorced and they all say, yeah, this job is not, this job doesn't fit the lifestyle of, someone who has a family. It's because they're all like married to their work. They're all working crazy hours. They're, all that kind of stuff. And it's just not conducive, right? And they may love what they do and they may even be able to handle it, but their families can't, right?
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned in the intro that I'm the visionary CEO of the 10 Disciplines. That's the company that I founded with my co-author. And in the book, Shine, there are 10 disciplines which we share with leaders, entrepreneurs. One of them, to build on what you and I are speaking about right now, is discipline number 5, which is know your 100%. And this is the perfect number of hours per week and weeks per year where you deliver the greatest value to the world. And you have to do exactly what you've said, John. You have to see your entire life, the totality of it. When I was running my other company, imageOne, we were all about the totality of our team members' lives. So with that being said, yes, some of us can go 70, 80 hours with work, but something's got to give. Our greatest asset in this life is time. It's nothing that you buy or accumulate. It's just given to us, and it's how we use it most effectively that matters. So as a leader, we encourage people to really look at each and everything that they're doing throughout their day and start to notice what are the most impactful things that you're doing, and then do more of those and start getting the other things out of your to-do list or your tasks or however you inherited those things. That segues into another discipline, which is discipline number 7. Don't do $25 an hour work. Never do anything you could pay somebody $25 an hour to do. So first of all, if you're in a leadership position, it's likely that your hourly rate is not $25 an hour. So now you have to believe that anything that you're doing that isn't creating the greatest impact and kind of goes into that category. And we use that $25. It could be $35, $50, whatever.
Yeah.
You have to decide. Now you have to believe that by delegating that and paying someone else to do it, you will now create a greater return on that investment because you'll be doing higher impactful work that I truly hope those listening believe would lead to greater success for the company and for themselves in their role. But yet we spend so much time managing our calendars. For some reason, we want to control these things, but that's not the best and highest usage of our time.
Yeah. And I think we all fall into that trap. How much time do we waste in all sorts of things that don't matter, right? And that could be dealing with your calendar, responding to emails that don't matter, sitting in meetings that don't matter, just all sorts of tasks that don't really matter all that much that can easily be delegated. I mean, there's a whole long list, right? And so a lot of leaders and managers spend like I would even argue 80-90% of their time that they spend, running around like chickens with their heads cut off, putting out fires, doing
Yeah,
tasks that could be delegated, doing things that they don't need to be doing. They need to
yeah,
be doing the higher level strategic stuff. They need to be doing, the thinking and looking around corners and culture building and, these types of things. They need to be spending time on those types of things, and they never have that time because they spend all of their time doing these other things that just don't matter. That's way
you're,
below their pay grade.
you're
That
right on.
they easily could be, building up their team and their bench strength to do those things. You know,
Exactly.
and why don't they do that? In part because they don't trust the people around them, in part because they're more comfortable doing those things. There's a
Yeah,
variety of reasons, but ultimately they can't let those things go, and their teams suffer, their organizations suffer, they burn out because they never have enough time, and so they're working longer and longer hours, and then everyone suffers because of that.
that's right. And so part of what we started with was this, inside look. And so it's great to be able to take a moment, and we teach this in discipline number 3, know thyself. And this is where we want you to be you 100% of the time, 24/7, 365. And to really know thyself, you have to go inside. And when you start to go inside, you start to realize why you're doing the things that you're doing. And there aren't always good reasons for why you're doing the things you're doing. There may be ways to connect the dots as to why you feel like you need to control everything. A lot of leaders, that's a number one thing. They like control.
Yeah.
They need it done their particular way. And no other way can be, nobody can do it their way. And as a result, they don't delegate it. So that's just control. Where's that coming from? I challenge you to go out and do some work on yourself and really think about, why do I have the need to control every aspect of what I'm doing at work? What am I afraid of? And so know thyself is a key component to managing your energy, because once you recognize, okay, I like to control, I need to let go of that. What would that feel like? That would be freeing. I would have more space and more time in my life to do more impactful things, both at work and at home. We often also like to be the hero as leaders. So team
Yes.
members come up to us and they say, hey, can you help me? And the next thing you know, you're doing half their job.
Yeah.
But in one of our disciplines, which is number 6, it's say no often. And what happens is, I always ask audiences, raise your hand if you have a hard time saying no. And 85 to 90% of the hands go up. And so we feel guilty saying no. We always, and a positive thing is, oftentimes we're servant leaders. We want to help, but it requires going inside. Where does that guilt come from? Why are we afraid to maybe let some people down? And what are we giving away when we do that? We're giving away our time, and we're not able to put our focus on that higher impact activities that we should be doing that will help the company be more successful and help you be more successful in your role. So you can start to see like how it all keeps coming back, every single one of these. So
Yeah, can I double click on the servant leader comment, because
yes,
you're right. I think a lot of people, I mean, sometimes people swoop in as a hero, because of ego and because they just really love everything coming through them and they need everything to come through
yes,
them. I do think there's an element of that for a lot of people, but I do think for the vast majority of people, there's just a desire to help. And you really do you have this servant leader mindset. You really do just want to help people, and you see need and you have some expertise and you want to go help them. Right. And that's laudable, and I think the motivation behind that is a good thing. The problem is, in addition to, like you said, you don't have time for that. A variety of issues can come out of that. From a servant leadership mindset, you're actually also doing more harm than good. because you're stealing developmental opportunities from your people.
That's right.
And I think a true servant leader understands that.
Yeah.
A true servant leader recognizes that if I want to lift up and build up my team, build my bench strength, help people develop their full capacity and potential, that, if someone comes to me with a problem, I don't just like scoff at them and say, go figure it out on your own and like
Right.
leave them hanging. That's not helpful. But I also don't just pick it up and do it for them, right? There's an in between where I can do some coaching and mentoring, where I can maybe point them towards some resources. Maybe we can talk through it together a little bit, or I can point them to some other mentor, or, there's a variety of things you can do without having to just like take it on or to spend your whole day doing it with them, right? And I think a true effective servant leader learns how to do that.
Yes.
And the reality is, when you learn how to do that, people will love you for it. Like they will see you as so much more effective as a leader when you take that approach. They'll be far more likely to come to you for support when you take that approach. And they'll develop so much more, so much faster when you take that approach.
Right. I love that you shared that, because part of saying no is not just being dismissive. It's also being helpful and useful. And you outlined all the ways that you can do that. So if you feel any sense of guilt that arises, and when you feel guilt as a leader, as a person, you're vibrating at a low level, just to let you know. And you want to vibrate, you want to show up at a high level and shine. That's why we called the book Shine. We want you to shine. And so by being useful, being helpful, empowering your people, that is true servant leadership, as you mentioned. And, another thing came to my mind, again, about going inside, because a thing that we can start to do as leaders is we can start to notice in the moment what's happening, like what's going on with me right now that I'm about to react in a particular way. And discipline number 4 is be still. And this is where we encourage you to sit in silence for 30 minutes every single day. Now, there are different ways that one can go about this. There are 4 that we always mention, and I'm sure there's many more, but some people are very religious, and so praying is a great thing to do. Sitting and just meditating, which is what I happen to do. Journaling or contemplation, or some combination of all 3 or 4 of them. Yeah. And so this is a really important skill to cultivate as a leader, because you go hard. You go fast, and you've got to let your mind and your body settle down and let your soul catch up, as we like to say. And when you do that, you think more clearly. And when you think more clearly, you make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, you get to wherever you're going actually faster. So some people look at this 30 minutes as a waste of time. They're sitting there thinking, I've got so much to do. I have a to-do list a mile long. I have 1 million emails. I have other responsibilities. But the truth of the matter is, by settling down, you actually become more efficient and clearer with your time. So we always encourage that. And that's also part of doing some of that inner work.
Yeah. And that's totally been my experience too. When I get too wrapped up in my day, and I'm jumping from thing to thing to thing, pretty soon your mental bandwidth gets stretched too thin, right? And you can jump from thing to thing to thing, but you stop kind of mentally processing at some point, right? And you're just kind of there. You go from meeting to meeting to meeting, and you're not fully engaging at some point. But if you even if you're able to take 5 minutes, between meetings, do some breath work, sit and pause, reflect on some things, that can make a huge difference. And then certainly if like at some point in the day you can take that time, it can make a huge difference. And, like you said, there's a variety of ways you can do it. I'll add one because I think this would resonate with a lot of people. I live in an area with a lot of outdoor recreation. So I think for a lot of people, things like hiking or getting out in nature also is a really great way to do that. Exercise is a great way to do that. Honestly, for me, I get out and I have 2 dogs. Just going out and walking my dogs, and I try not to do anything, just go out, walk my dogs for half an hour, and not allow anything to be on my mind other than I'm just there with my dogs outside with the mountains in the background. And it makes a difference, like just the mental reset makes a big difference.
It does.
And I can't overstate how important that is. Like you said, it can feel like you're almost wasting time, or it can feel selfish sometimes. But my experience has been, and the reality for me has been, I usually am far more productive overall when I take those small moments in conjunction with some big moments scattered throughout the day. My day as a whole is way more productive. I get way more accomplished. My thinking is better, is sharper, and I come up with better solutions.
That's right. Yeah, that's so good. And another important thing for us to do as leaders is recognize that when we take time off, which is our second discipline, and what we encourage you to do with that discipline of taking time off is to take at least 130 days off per year and not think about work the entire time. And the second part of that is really hard for leaders. Now, 130 days for perspective, if you took every weekend, every US holiday, and 3 weeks vacation, which I imagine many of the people listening have at least 3 weeks vacation, then you're about 130. So it's not actually overwhelming when you think about it. But truth of the matter is, if you're in a leadership position, you're probably gotten into the habit of doing some work on the weekends and during holidays and during vacations. And what we're encouraging you to do is set strong boundaries. Let your team know, set them up because they might not be used to it, but just set them up that you just are off the grid. You're not available. And that actually might feel uncomfortable for you. And that's a good sign. You work through the discomfort to become comfortable with it. It forces you, in a sense, to really look at what you're doing with your time. And you might find that there are some amazing things out in the world that you've been missing because you've been so focused on, even on your time off, still getting some work done. And so we really encourage again, that's all about managing your energy. It's about resetting, recharging, avoiding burnout. These are all key things, and you deserve it and you've earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rob, this has just been a super fun conversation.
Yes.
I know at the time I need to let you go here in a minute, but before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, where they can find your book, and then give us the final word on the topic for today.
Yeah. So the best place to learn more is the10disciplines.com. So it's the10disciplines.com. And what I always encourage people to do is to go on and take our assessment. It's called the True Self Assessment. And there's 20 questions, and it'll kind of give you a sense of where you are with becoming closer to your true self and managing and maximizing your energy, your impact, and inner peace at the best level that is available for you. And I hope for each and every one of you that you truly do shine.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. It has been a true pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Rob can do for you. Check out the book. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.